Welcome to the Monday, December 6th, 2021 virtual session of the Lake Forest City Council. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Honorable Mayor Pandeleon.
Here.
Alderman Morris.
Here.
Alderman Karras. Here. Alderman Rummel.
Here.
Alderman Notes. Here. Alderman Preschlack.
Here.
Alderman Gashgarian.
Here.
Alderman Bushman.
Here.
Alderman Weber.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Betty. Now we will please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need to make the following statement. In accordance with state statute, I have made a determination that it was not practical or prudent to schedule an in-person city council meeting because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why this December 6th, 2021 city council meeting will be held remotely. First item on the agenda is reports of city officers, the comments by the mayor. And the first item on our agenda is the swearing in of firefighter paramedic Katie Lacevita. I'm going to introduce Pete Siebert, Fire Chief.
Just one moment, Mr. Mayor.
You're muted, Pete.
Yeah, we'll get the video here, one moment.
Day one, you've been super motivated. I always look at you as a worker, like somebody that came in with purpose and ready to work, and you just excelled every way along the way. You've done great. You showed everything we've thrown at you, excelled, and you just continue to have a positive attitude. And sky's the limit.
Repeat after me. I,
Catherine A. Lacevita,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Illinois,
the ordinances, rules, and regulations
and the ordinances, rules, and regulations
of the City of Lake Forest.
of the City of Lake Forest.
I will faithfully discharge the duties
I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of firefighter paramedic
of the position of firefighter paramedic
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I further swear
I further swear
to uphold the mission of the Lake Forest Fire Department
to uphold the mission of the Lake Forest Fire Department
and work to fulfill its vision
and work to fulfill its vision
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Just thank you to all three of the shifts, my family, for endless support and everything here. Chiefs, City of Lake Forest, thanks for bringing me aboard and forward to a long career.
Thank you, Pete.
All right, sorry, I don't know what happened with the audio there. Maybe it sounds a little better now. I think the video kind of speaks for itself. It's been a little trying doing these remotely, and we're hoping our next one will be in the council chambers. We just hired a new firefighter paramedic who started on November 15th. A lot of young people in our department. I would make note that Katie makes our 11th firefighter that started as a paid on premise with us part-time. And out of 30 people on shift, that's a pretty impressive number. So we're happy to have her on board, and I see nothing but good things in her future.
Well, she did a great job with my mother-in-law last Wednesday night.
Glad to hear that. I hope she's doing well.
Yeah, it's okay. But she was a familiar face, having just sworn her in a few days earlier.
I'm glad it all worked out, and we appreciate you giving us this time to highlight these people. It's important to them, and it's important to us, and we appreciate it.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the announcement of the winners of our How Well Do You Know Lake Forest contest in the newly revised version of the dialogue. We released the redesigned winter dialogue, and it included in an effort to get more back and forth communication, there was a How Well Do You Know Lake Forest contest with 3 images, which I'd like to have put up right now. Okay, and the answer, or the question is, what are these things, these 3 things? And we had a number of winners, or a number who got it right, but I'm curious if any of the members of the council can help us figure this out.
Well, I think I recognize the beach on the right.
And there's a, looks like a deer face from Triangle Park, maybe in the middle. Yep. And the last one, I'm going to say maybe the cemetery.
Nope.
No? Okay, someone else?
No clue.
I thought this was the easiest one.
I'm going with the library.
Right.
All right.
Front of the library, or front yard thing. So each of these was taken in a public space. We asked residents to identify the specific location. And from all the correct entries, we drew one lucky winner, Terry Mueller. Congratulations, Terry. You've won $25 in Lake Forest, Lake Bluff chamber checks that can be redeemed at any chamber business. So pick up your prize whenever it's convenient for you at City Hall. Congratulations. And it took the entire city council to figure out what you figured out all on your own. So nice job. Next item is a update from the marketing committee about the Saturday markets at the West Side train station. Jennifer, would you like to comment on that?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you've all heard me say that the marketing committee was really keen on developing a program or some event on the west side of town, because so many of our special event activities are concentrated on the east side of town. And I've spoken with a number of our aldermen who represent the wards out there. That really is, would be beneficial to try to, think about what we could do to concentrate some activity, drive some traffic out to the west side, and not just our own residents, but individuals who might come from the, Deerfield or Vernon Hills and Libertyville. So this idea was something the marketing committee came up with before the summer. Actually, we were hoping that we might get it underway for last summer. That wasn't in the cards. So Kathy Cerniak and Michelle Friedlich really ran with this assignment, and our marketing committee, we had a subcommittee we established. We went out and probably attended maybe 10 different farmers markets across the area. And there's a great deal of interest. And what we did was determine that there's so many of these vendors, and they're local producers of obviously fresh products and preserved type products, local artisans, and just bakers. There are a tremendous amount of local bakers who like to participate in these events. So what we determined through our conversations with them is that there really isn't, there's a lack of opportunity for them to participate over the winter months. And because we have the wonderful station, West Lake Forest train station that, has a beautiful facility for space that lends itself to this type of thing, we decided to try to do this over the winter months. Right now, we're launching it. It is a holiday focused market that will take place from 12 until 4 this coming Saturday, and then the following Saturday on the 18th. We think that this will this will launch what will eventually become a full-fledged summer market, Saturday market next summer. And the real intention behind it is to make sure that it is an activity that people can come and attend and do some shopping, eat some wonderful foods and listen to music and sit and come together as a community, and really highlight another incredible aspect of Lake Forest in our community. So we have about between 13 and 15 vendors who have committed to participating the next 2 consecutive Saturdays. I hope everybody was at the Eloah market, holiday market. It was just really fun, and there are a number of vendors there, maybe 3 or 4 additional vendors who might decide to participate in our Saturday markets coming up. So you saw a slide Kathy put up with some of the vendors who have made a commitment to coming, specialty food items to enjoy and to gift, handmade local pottery, glass paintings, and candles, ornaments, and of course lots of wonderful foods. And also the Lake Forest Library, you can see, and Eloah Farm are both, and Forest and Bluff, another local organization, Music Institute, are committed to being there. So I hope if you guys have some time, you will stop by and check it out, and meet some of these vendors. And hopefully it's just the beginning of a lot of exciting new Saturday markets to come. I think this is something that we did on the east side of town a number of years ago, and some aspects of it were successful. We kind of very carefully assessed what worked, what didn't work, and I think we're really on to creating something that's going to be quite special for the community. The only other thing I wanted to mention, Mr. Mayor, if I may, outside of the Saturday market is Lake Forest Love. I hope you're all subscribing to Lake Forest Love. I wanted to mention that we have about 750 subscribers now. David Sweet's just doing an absolutely phenomenal job as our editor at large, and Dana Olson, our communications manager, is really doing a tremendous job working with David and overseeing the production of the content, and then pushing out, I don't know if you follow the Instagram site, the Facebook, but there's a lot of really cool stories that are being written and published on Lake Forest Love. So spread the word and make sure you're checking in on that. Some really interesting, especially, I don't know if you saw the post today, there's a local man who, everybody's talking about going into outer space, but he actually, and I'm not going to tell you the details because I want you to go to Lake Forest Love and read the stories, but he goes 2.5 miles down in the North Atlantic Ocean to discover, and I'm gonna leave it at that, but it's quite tremendous commitment, and I can't even imagine what that must feel like, going down in a small little vessel to the bottom of the ocean. So anyway, take a look at that. Thank you.
Right. And the dates for the market are this coming Saturday?
Saturday, the 11th and the 18th, from 12 to 4 at the West Lake Forest train station.
Saturday, not Sunday.
That is right, because it is a Saturday market.
Yep. Alderman Bushman?
I'd like to express appreciation to Alderman Karras and all those others that have been involved and contributed to this effort to bring the Saturday market to the West train station. We really look forward to it, and hopefully it is a success. I was wondering, do you envision having all the vendors within the train station, or will some of them have to be set up outside, and will you be having tents or anything like that?
Well, I don't know if Kathy or Michelle are on the call with us, or Jason, if you can answer that. I imagine that because of the weather that it'll be indoors, but Kathy, if you're available to answer that, that'd be great.
I think Kathy's on the call. I do believe they'll all be indoors, but Kathy, are you joining us?
Yes, at least right now they will all be indoors, although we've offered that opportunity for some to set up outdoors.
Okay, thank you. Again, thank you for what you're doing here.
Alderman Weber?
Thank you, thank you. And one other quick note, just for some marketing efforts for this, I might suggest either like a sandwich board or a large poster at the Westlake Forest Starbucks starting ASAP. There are lots of people who are walking from their homes in Westlake Forest up to that Starbucks, probably driving more now with the bitter cold we finally have, but I think that'll be a great way to continue to get the word out. That's a gathering place right across the tracks.
Great idea. That's a really good idea. Thanks.
Good suggestion.
And let's not forget the Lake Forest Station pop-up shop that's open for this season now too. So all kinds of things going on. Alderman Rommel?
I think you're muted.
There we go. That was going to be my comment. I understand that the traffic in and out of the pop-up shop in the East Lake Forest train station is also doing very well. So all sorts of great things coming out of the marketing committee.
Great. Well, that concludes my comments. Next item on the agenda is comments by the city manager.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor and members of the City Council. Good evening. I have one item tonight, and I'm really pleased to be able to announce that last week the City of Lake Forest took home first place in the Lake County Municipal League's annual innovation for the development of our Lake Forest Now mobile application. And I think, as everyone on the call knows, the app really has proven to be a widely used tool for residents, either seeking information from the city, processing financial transactions, or submitting field service requests in a convenient manner. And it's also becoming an increasingly important communications tool for us as we proactively push out important updates and information using the push notification functionality that the app allows. And so I've asked our Innovation and Technology Director, Jim Shaw, to say a few words. But first, I just want to acknowledge and thank Jim and his team, both for the vision to create a customer engagement platform that reflects the current world we live in, where everybody seems to do just about everything on their mobile devices. And then, of course, for successfully executing on that vision. And I also just want to acknowledge the myriad of other city staff across really all of our departments who played a role in building out the customized functionality in the app that are specific to their operations. Almost, I think, virtually every department we have has a footprint or presence on the app. So it really was a collaborative team effort, and so kudos to all involved. And again, I'm asked Jim, who was really the architect of this whole concept, to say a few words. But before I do that, I'll just ask the council to join me in congratulating Jim and his team on this really wonderful public recognition. And so with that, Jim, turn it over to you for a minute or two.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jason. I do appreciate it. And good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. So I hope you can see my screen at this point in time. You should see a shot of the mayor accepting the award and our project team at the awards dinner. Also, it's interesting to point out that we have included a QR code on our slides tonight. So any viewers can simply scan the code with their cameras to obtain the Lake Forest Now app. So as mentioned, last Wednesday evening, Lake Forest was awarded the Innovation of the Year award by the Lake County Municipal League. You know, we are quite honored to receive the award, but we know we can't rest on our laurels. We must continue to improve the application and continue to offer relevant content. Now, related to that, I have just a couple brief mentions, content-related mentions regarding two projects. So first, I want to talk about the parking availability project. So this is something we started last year. It did take quite a bit more time than we expected. So, but now parking availability has been live for a few months now. And it's something that we can build on. So it provides residents a good understanding of real-time parking as well as weather. So, and you'll note that we do offer a virtual map of the parking lot with the corresponding red and green. dots to indicate vacancies. And then we also have other information that we can provide. Currently, we're providing the weather. Now, going forward, in the next few months, we hope to add things like water temperature, wave height, a beach open close indicator, and a possible water cam. So this is something we're going to build on. It's something we're going to continue to add elements to. We're trying to cover the most frequently asked questions of beach staff. So the beach gets a lot of phone calls. People are interested in knowing how busy the beach is. They're interested in knowing the weather, the temperature of the water, et cetera. So we're trying to cover that so that it's more efficient for the residents and more efficient for our staff. So the second project I want to cover, I don't have a slide for, but I think it's worth a mention. And this is all about automated sports cameras. So this is a project which we'll be working with Sally's group on in the athletics department. And it's a technology which allows for automated video production of athletic events and games for live broadcast and playback. So it's an unmanned camera that follows the action, zooms in, zooms out as needed, and it's compatible with all the major sports. So I think our plan is to do an evaluation this spring of perhaps 2 different fields. There'll probably be soccer and lacrosse, and just to better understand the technology and to better understand the level of interest from the residents. So this access or this live broadcast and playback feature would be available via the app and or the website. So we think it has a lot of potential. Now, one more item worth mentioning regarding the app is we are looking at doing a refresh of the app look and feel, and we're probably slating this for mid-year. So we will be involving, of course, Dana and our marketing group with that refresh. So those are kind of the announcements today around the app. So I just wanted to get those out there. But thank you all. Thank you for your support. And Jason, thank you for the kind comments.
I will say when I was speaking to people last week at the ceremony, they were shocked to find out, they kind of came at it with the idea that, oh, Lake Forest is, you guys can afford these kinds of luxuries. And, I pointed out that actually we're very frugal, which is one of the reasons our taxes are lower than everybody else's in the room. But this whole app development cost the city about $10,000. Alderman Rummel?
Yeah, I just wanted to add a comment. I was glad that I had taken a good look at the agenda before Friday night. I was at the holiday party for the Lake County Bar Foundation, and several people came up to me and said congratulations on this award. So it's gotten a lot of play. You've brought quite a bit of attention, positive attention to Lake Forest in doing this and in getting this award. So kudos to everyone involved. It was nice to hear that from, they weren't Lake Forest residents, they were people from throughout the county who came up and acknowledged it. So it was very nice and a very prestigious award. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll note I would have sent something a little earlier to the council, but we didn't know until the event itself. We knew that the city had been chosen as a nominee, but it was sort of like the Oscars. They don't tell you if you're going to win until the evening of when you're actually present. So I didn't want to jinx us, which is why I didn't send something out in advance. But again, congratulations to the staff.
Yeah, well done, Jason and Jim. Terrific.
Thank you.
Great. Well, if there are no other questions or comments, Mayor, that would conclude my report for this evening.
Okay, great. Next item on the agenda is opportunity for citizens to address the city council on non-agenda items. We'll wait here while the phone number 847-810-3643 is the number to call, or there's a raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. We'll wait a minute while We see if we have anybody from the public that would like to speak to the council about items that are not on our agenda tonight.
Mr. Mayor, we have a raised hand. It is listed as Lake Forest High School students.
Okay.
Give us one moment, we'll bring them in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Seaman. I'm here with Gabe Guidarini and Renzo Miucci, and we are seniors at Lake Forest High School. We're here to propose a policy that prohibits the sale of flavored tobacco products, including e-cigarettes and menthol, in Lake Forest. This is part of a collaboration between my civics class and the Lake County Health Department. This policy is relevant to us because we see its impact happening around us each day. First time I saw someone use a flavored e-cigarette was around 7th grade. It was new, but it gained traction with kids our age. It only took a few years for some of my friends to start using them as well. With all the new fruity flavors, it sounded like something cool to try. And as 15 or 16-year-olds, we are curious to try anything. We never really considered the repercussions of trying it just a few times. Flash forward to now, and you still see the effects of e-cigarettes today. According to the 2020 Illinois Youth Survey, 25% of 12th graders used an e-cigarette device in the last 30 days. But this assumes that all that were surveyed were honest. Additionally, most bathrooms during passing periods have kids using these vapes, not just because they want to, but because they need to. Sometimes I'd see my friends do it too. I began to notice that they'd be less happy more often than not. They'd become more reliant on the buzz of nicotine, but their normal mood just was not what it used to be. And this sucks seeing it happen. Not just people I knew from school, but my own friends too. What was once known something fun to try became a crutch to some of their everyday lives. Who knows what will happen to them years down the road, just like how we used to not know the side effects of cigarettes decades ago. I don't want this generation to be the guinea pigs for it, and I would guess that all my classmates would agree with me.
My name is Renzo, and I'm going to be talking about the effects that these e-cigarettes and tobacco products have on people. There are some serious health and financial effects among us, negatively impacting not only our community, but all over the world with the results of vapes and tobacco products. For example, if someone were to get addicted, they would have to buy a device that ranges from $10 to $50, which can add up when paid around every week. Other things, such as making it harder to breathe, lower stamina, and anxiety are all health effects from tobacco. When it comes to flavors, you see them as very fruity and colorful. These tend to catch the attention of curious people, young or old. Because of this, it gives a way for them to be addictive and easy to stay on, rather than a bland or even gross flavor such as tobacco. Also, when it gets to a younger audience, this group doesn't really know the long-term effects and don't notice the instant effects of the use of tobacco products. There are some groups that are being targeted and negatively affected by these tobacco products. These groups obviously include the youth, LGBTQ community, African Americans, and those with mental illness. The LGBT community is targeted in advertising, and they stick with the use of these tobacco products because of stress and other things that may be going on in our society. African American communities are being targeted in the way they live and where they live and what they're surrounded by. They're surrounded by advertisements that target the lower income areas. A higher percentage of Black adults who currently smoke started by using menthol cigarettes, which was 93%, which is compared to white adults who currently smoke, which is only 44%. And finally, when it comes to youth, the numbers are scary. 63% of students who currently use e-cigarettes have used flavored e-cigarettes, and 54% of students who currently use e-cigarettes between 12 and 17 years old use menthol cigarettes. That percentage is higher than the percent of adults 18 or older who smoke menthol cigarettes. And 61% of students who currently use hookah use the flavored hookah, and 64% of students who use cigars have used flavored cigars. All these numbers conclude that the ban of flavors, including menthol, in these tobacco products would greatly decrease the number of users of these products.
Hello, my name is Dave Guidarini. The world we live in today is much different than before. Today's threats to young people are new and different than the ones of the past, and thus the policies in place must be updated and new action must be taken to help protect vulnerable people in our society. As high schoolers, we have seen the effects of new predatory corporate practices and new unregulated nicotine technologies all around us. The community agrees, and polling shows that they agree with the legislation we have put forth. The council can help make a difference in people's lives if it takes action right now, and it is in the eyes of the students at Lake Forest High School, the children of your donors and voters, that this legislation is the correct route forward. We encourage you to vote your conscience and make the right decision to restrict the sale of flavored tobacco products, including e-cigarettes and menthol, in the city of Lake Forest. Thank you.
Thank you. I think this is probably something that we need to do some studying on. I wouldn't recommend that we debate it right here and now, but I would ask the staff to do some research on this and come up with some recommendations for the council.
Certainly, Mayor, we'd be happy to do that. And I'll just note that I received this afternoon a copy of a PowerPoint presentation that the students had put together as well. So I'll be sure to distribute that to the council following tonight's meeting, and be happy to look into this further, talk with relevant city staff, and perhaps report back at our next meeting.
That sounds good. So thank you to the high school students for bringing this to our attention. I know it's something that Andy Duran at LEAD has been pursuing for some time, and so we need to look into this. Alderman Rummel.
I just want to compliment the students for bringing this forward and their teachers for encouraging them to do so. This is, I'm a former high school teacher myself, and a civics and political science teacher, and this is the kind of civics education that really makes an impact and makes a difference in our students as they grow into young adults. So kudos to everyone involved in bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other callers?
Mr. Mayor, we have no raised hands at this time. We can find out from Layla about the callers.
We have no additional callers at this time.
Okay, great. Well, we'll look forward to hearing more about this issue in the coming month. The next item on the agenda is committee reports. We have a report from the Finance Committee, which will involve the presentation of the Gorton Community Center 2022 budget presentation. Finance Committee Chairman Jed Morris, and also he'll be joined by Jack Westerman, Gorton Board Chair Nick Bothfeld, Gorton Finance Chair, and Amy Wagliardo, Executive Director of Gorton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the benefit of the council, we had a presentation several weeks ago by Jack and his team, including Amy, on the 2022 Gorton budget, which we were pleased to see Gorton doing well or better than they have in the years past, and they're in great financial shape. But we wanted to use this opportunity to give them a chance to come before the council and present their budget. So Jack, I think I'll turn it over to you, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you, Jed. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. I'm Jack Westerman. I'm the chairman of the board of Gorton, and I'm here with our executive director, Amy Wagliardo, as well as Nick Bothfeld. I just want to make a small handful of opening comments to set the table before turning the presentation over to Amy and Nick. And the first is just for a little agenda, we're going to, of course, as the main event, give a summary of the 2022 plan and have Q&A if there's any. Before we do that, we think it's important to give you some highlights on the past year, 2021, and what we viewed as a very successful year, despite headwinds from the global pandemic that posed a challenge for our community center. Despite these headwinds, we feel that we successfully advanced Gorton's mission to be the center of our community. The second comment that I'd make is that the process the Gorton board has to construct iterate and approve the budget on an annual basis is robust. We start work on it in September with our staff and with Amy preparing a draft budget that is iterated with our Finance and Operations Committee chaired by Nick Bothfeld. At that point, following that step, it's brought before the General Board for iterations and culminating with the approval on a unanimous basis by the board, which occurred on November 8th. So the board has approved, broadly supports this plan, and this plan aligns with Gorton's strategy as well as being broadly supported by our board. That's it for me for my comments. Amy, I'd like to, at this time, turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Jack. I want to thank the members of the City Council for your service to the city and also for your support of Gorton, your attendance at events and other things that happen here at Gorton. We really appreciate all that you do for us. And I also want to thank the city. We really appreciate the relationship we have with the city, especially we spend a lot of time with the building maintenance staff, and they're so awesome. We love working with them, and they're just a wealth of knowledge and always so helpful to us. So I just want to give a shout out specifically to that group, but really anyone that we ever work with at the city is just so wonderful. I just wanted to review Gorton's mission statement. We have some slides. I don't know if you can see them or not, but so you can forward to the next slide. I think we're the agenda, which Jack referred to. Our mission statement is to be the gathering place in the heart of the community. This mission statement was formulated when Gorton was coming back after the 2010 situation. I believe it was adopted in 2012. And then as part of our last strategic plan, the board supported the vision statement that is a forward-looking statement where we are working to move toward. And then there's a couple taglines that we use in our marketing: educate, entertain, inspire, and Gorton's got it. You can forward the slide. This is a small rendering of our 2021 story. We feel like we successfully reopened during a global pandemic. Maybe it's not post-global, but certainly moving forward during the global pandemic, including an installation of a whole building active ionic oxidation system that we received a city grant to help pay for. We appreciate that very much. And we were also able to access federal and state grants. We did see a return to event rental. We have had lots of robust rentals, especially in the theater. We are still not back to pre-pandemic levels, and the budget for 2022 reflects this. We had an amazing summer. We had all of our camps were sold out, and we expanded our summer outdoor series, which we would have never even tried if it wasn't for the pandemic. So, you know, there's, I heard someone say today, that's a little bit of pandemic lemonade. And then because of the pandemic, we had to go to a standing reservation system in the Drop-In Learning Center, the previous name of the daycare. And we learned that it actually adds a lot of structure to the day for the parents as well. And so we have codified that into the way that people register for time at the Drop-In Center. So you can still come for 2 hours on Monday morning, but you're signing up for 2 hours on Monday morning, every Monday morning, so that the same children are together at the same time, which is the reason it was put in place and is still helping us out as we go through this pandemic. And since we've changed the way that we're operating, we've changed the name to just Gorton Children's Learning Center. And we'll be trying a little bit of drop-in time, more the way we used to do it in the afternoons in 2022. But it's really streamlined the way that our parents interact with us and helped us manage our teachers and our staffing. All of our occupants on the second floor have stayed during the pandemic, and we've been welcoming patrons back indoors this fall, following all protocols. Glad that we have the air purification system. We had a near capacity crowd for the Best of Second City. And we had quite a few people here for the Home Alone screening right before the tree lighting festivities. So we're seeing people return, and we hope that will continue. The next slide is just a little visual representation of our year at Gorton. And you can see our honorable mayor there was a dog day judge this summer, and just a smattering of the live music and events that that happened here in the last 12 months. I like to always point this out to the city council that Gorton helps drive local economic growth. Whoops. Every time Gorton has an event, it helps drive economic activity in town. So this is from Americans for the Arts, based on a community of our size. But I think that Gorton really values their role in the community in this way. Next slide. So our 2022 budget is similar to previous budgets in that we are completing the last year of our strategic plan. There is an approved endowment draw. There are 2 approved endowment draws in there, one from the film endowment, one from the main endowment to support strategic initiatives. We are still expecting some pandemic lag, especially in the area of event rental. And that there will be no further grant money, we're assuming. And then also the PASTA program that's been housed at Gorton for many years. The leaders of that program, Tom and Susie Beck, they're going to retire after the summer of 2022. And we have plans to continue student theater at Gorton. We have some new teachers that have already started teaching and have started gaining a following here. And so while it will be sad to see the Becks retire and ride off into the sunset, we know that we can continue to offer this theater at Gorton after their retirement. Next slide. This is a summary of our budget. I want to just point out a few things that you may have questions on, and then of course I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. You can see that the programs and event line, we are looking for that to return to a more normal. This is not completely to normal, but a more normal level that's really ramped up. The Children's Learning Center net is really large this year because of those state grants we received. Typically, we see the Children's Learning Center as a mission-driven program that breaks even, and so that's why the budget in 2022 reflects that, and that's the way we've budgeted each year. Charitable contributions, this is expected to budgeted. If we did budgeted to budgeted, you wouldn't see a drop. We still feel like right now we're receiving some contributions that are above and beyond what we would normally receive because of the pandemic and people's generosity related to that. So we're sticking with budgeted numbers there, and you know, if it continues year over year, then we'll of course adjust. And then the rental income and admin expenses, where I think there's the most potential for upside if the pandemic, you know, is not as big of a deal in the first half of the year as it might be. We can pick up some more event rental income, we feel, in that area, and that would be a positive to this budget. And I'd love to take any questions that anyone might have.
Sure. Questions from the city council for Jack or Amy? Oh, Alderman Rommel.
Yeah, I seem to be asking all the questions. The drop in the Children's Learning Center is, of course, near and dear to my heart. I'm just wondering if this is going to be sort of a permanent change to standing reservations, or do you anticipate returning to more of a drop-in status once the pandemic hopefully passes us by?
So at this time, we plan to keep the standing reservation system. You don't have to come all the time. It's not a full-time system, but you can still come sort of your drop-in hours. You just sort of choose them and you stick with them each week. So you're coming Wednesdays from 8 to 10 or whatever your choice is. And then we plan to offer sort of the old system drop-in in the afternoons when we have fewer children. We're currently at capacity in the standing reservation system. We've gotten feedback from our parents that they appreciate the system. They can kind of count on the fact, okay, on Thursdays from 8 to 10, my child's at the drop-in, and I can make my appointments then. I can, you know, I can meet friends for lunch. I can, whatever they might be doing. If they're using us for lower, you know, fewer hours, we have more people using us for all the hours we're open. So obviously those parents are not affected by this change. They were using us for all the hours before, and they're still using us for all the hours. So, so we've seen that our parents don't seem to mind the change. And in fact, we've received positive feedback about the change, even though it was something that we tried because of the pandemic. It seems to be something people have appreciated. So, and we are going to try in January, in those afternoon hours when we have fewer children, you know, more of a typical, the old way drop in. There'll be a period of time that you can still do that if you wish.
So if I am a parent and I have a standing reservation and I can't use it for 2 consecutive weeks, am I still paying for that time period?
Yeah, you get a certain number of hours that you can call in and say you're not going to use, but yes, after a certain period, yes, because you're keeping that time from someone else being able to use it. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Other questions? Alderman Karas.
Thanks, Amy. These are actually just comments for you. I had the privilege of seeing the pasta performance of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory recently. I was really impressed with the production of, you know, the children's theater and also their performers. And that was a large group of kids, a variety of ages, and they really nailed it. It was exciting. It was a lot of fun to watch. I was there for the dress rehearsal. So I'm sorry that they'll be leaving, but I hope we'll continue a children's theater program in the future, because I could see how much that was enjoyed by those youngsters. The second thing is the cookbook, which has been so successful, I just want to urge you to consider doing a second edition of your cookbook, because obviously it's selling very well over at the pop-up shop, but it's really good. There's some wonderful recipes in there, and so I hope you'll consider doing a second edition.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Other questions from Alderman? Alderman Weber.
Thank you so much, Chairman Morris. Just Amy, as a frequenter at the drop-in, I'm there several times a week, and I've been for 6 years now. So just really, I'm happy with what they're doing. And also, I just wanted to comment, there's such a variety of programming. I've started signing my son up for the cooking classes. So, which is, I recall going to those when I was a child. So just great work on all of your staff, and congratulations.
Thanks, it's a great team.
Alderman Preschlack.
Thanks, Alderman Morris. I just wanted to thank Nick and Jack and Amy for their leadership, and the community service, Jack and Nick in particular, and Amy's, you're a great pro, but it takes a lot of effort to run and oversee it, and to get good people to continue to serve on the board. So thanks a lot for all the energy that you've put into it over the years. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Very good.
Nick Boffeld will wrap up our presentation.
Hi. Yeah, I was going to make some comments, but Jack already made them all. He covered everything wonderfully. And it's been a collaborative effort. We've worked hard. We've gone through many iterations. Amy is awesome. I'll say that again. Amy is awesome. And I would like to strongly recommend that the City Council accept our budget for 2022. And thanks for all your support.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Yeah, it's great to see Gorton thriving after it didn't always. So if there are no further questions, I'd accept a motion that the City Council approve the Gorton Community Center 2022 budget.
So moved.
Very good. Second.
Okay, and we need a roll call vote, please.
We do. Alderman Morris?
Aye.
Alderman Karas?
Aye.
Alderman Rummel?
Aye.
Alderman Notes?
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack?
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian?
Aye.
Alderman Bushman?
Aye.
Alderman Weber? 8 yeas, 0 nay. Motion carries.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is consideration of an ordinance establishing the 2021 tax levy. This is to be the final reading. I think we've addressed this probably 2 or 3 times already. So, Elizabeth?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. Actually, this is the 5th meeting at which you've reviewed and discussed the 2021 tax levy. I have the detailed slides available if they're helpful. However, I thought I would just do a brief overview. There have been no changes in the tax levy ordinance throughout the review process. The overall tax levy proposed is an increase of 2.5% over last year's extended levy. Most of the city levy line items reflect a 1.4% increase, which is the property tax extension limitation law, also known as property tax cap, percentage applicable for the 2021 levies. You will see some variations in other line items. The debt service levy shown reflects the abatements that are on your omnibus agenda this evening, reducing the property tax levy for debt service for those debt service items paid for from other revenue sources. And then you have the police and fire pension levies, which reflect the recommendation of the city's pension subcommittee based on an independent actuarial valuation as of April 30th, 2021. So again, a 2.5% overall increase compared to last year, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Elizabeth? Okay, I would then entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Morris?
Aye.
Alderman Karas?
Aye.
Alderman Rommel?
Aye.
Alderman Notes?
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack?
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian?
Aye.
Alderman Bushman?
Aye.
And Alderman Weber.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay, motion carries.
Thank you. And now we can start working on the next tax levy discussion. Next item is report from Public Works. Mike Thomas is going to present an update on 3 projects that are in process. I think he'll have some help from Byron Coots, Superintendent of Engineering, and Dan Martin, Superintendent of Public Works. Each of these 3 items is on the Omnibus agenda, which we'll get to immediately after this. So this is an orientation for those 3 items that are on the Omnibus agenda. So take it away, Mike.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening, staff is requesting on one of your omnibus items approval to move forward with the replacement of our pedestrian bridges, one at Illinois and one at Woodland. They both were installed around the same period, 1994, 1995. They have served us well, but they are both now, it is time to replace both of them. If you remember back in 2020, we hired a bridge consultant to do a very thorough inspection on all of the city-owned bridges. That report was presented to the Finance Committee at your November 2020 Finance Committee meeting. It listed a number of bridges, Lake and Woodbine being the highest priority, but right behind that were the 2 pedestrian bridges, Illinois and Woodland. Not knowing if in fact we were able to get one of these bridges completed this fiscal year, we went ahead and budgeted dollars, not only in FY22, but in FY23. As many things are very similar, we've had issues with ordering and acquiring materials. We've spoken to contractors and we found this to be somewhat similar situation. So we are, with regards to schedule, going to make sure that both bridges are not going to be under construction at the same time. Woodland, when we look at both of them, we recognize Woodland Road Bridge probably has a little more of an importance because of the high school traffic, as well as we recognize a lot of residents from Lake Bluff come into Lake Forest to purchase things. And on top of it, we're going to be having the Baroque storm sewer project. The trucks that are going to be working and hauling material in and out are going to be going underneath this pedestrian bridge at Woodland, heading up McKinley up to 176. So the Woodland Bridge is the one we're really going to try and focus on timing to see if we can get that knocked out during the summer months. Illinois, if we can get it done this spring, we will. If not, we'll do it in the fall. But again, it is really going to depend upon where we fall in line with the bridge fabrication company. Like everything else, we simply will place our order and get in line. That is why we are requesting City Council approval this evening, so we could get that order placed. Next slide, please. Like all of our projects, we put together a thorough design and a very thick book of bid specifications. We put that bid spec out for bid. We received 5 bids. We are recommending, when we went ahead and asked for references for the 2 top bidders, we checked into those references and we're recommending that we proceed with the second lowest bid. The first one, we received many references that were not showing us that the low bid contractor was not a responsible bidder. So we are recommending that we proceed with the second low bid. We will be putting out an RFP for construction assistance. We'll be doing that over the next 30 days. We'll be coming then to a future city council meeting. The construction assistance really is from a certified engineer that will do final inspections, respond to requests for information, review submittals, that type of thing. So this evening on your omnibus items, we're going to be requesting City Council approve the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, FH Passion, for replacing both the Illinois and Woodland pedestrian bridges. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Alderman Rowe.
Can I just ask where the traffic will be detoured to, especially on that Woodland Road bridge?
Yeah, correct. Woodland will be detoured to Westminster. For both of them, they will all have to be detoured to Westminster and Deer Path. But again, what our process is that we want to place these orders for these bridges. And once they arrive, then we'll allow the contractor to begin removing the old ones and putting the new ones up. Woodland should be rather straightforward. Illinois, we're going to raise the abutments a foot because Illinois has gotten hit multiple times. So there will be a little more work on the Illinois bridge, but Woodland should be relatively straightforward. It's just a larger span bridge.
So there will be more bike traffic kind of in the downtown area then, while these are being
Well, I
constructed, right?
apologize. I was referring to the vehicle traffic when we're actually removing the bridges and putting them up. But you are correct. We're going to need to bring the bicycle traffic through the downtown area. That's correct. And we'll bring them, especially Illinois South. They'll need to take it all the way down to Ryan and cross over at Ryan Place on Western. But otherwise, yes, we'll either take them over McKinley or Western. And the good thing with Woodland is they're able to hop back on the bike path right at Woodland without having to use the bridge. But McKinley, Deer Path, that's the way they're going to have to go.
Well, I'm sure that the staff will look at signage and, slow down and watch for bike traffic and all of that. I think it's a little concerning to have that bike traffic on those busy downtown streets.
Right. No, we agree completely. And that's one of the reasons that we want to have a good, responsible contractor on hand. That they recognize the importance that once you begin removing, you've got to have the other one ready to go and get it up as soon as possible and put it back into service. So,
the one over Woodland will be fairly straightforward because that'll be closed, and you just go down the ramp, across the closed street, and back up the ramp. So it's going to be pretty safe.
Yeah, Illinois is not so good.
Yeah, right.
There's no place to go.
Yeah, there are a lot of kids that use that going to school, do you think? I don't know.
There
I
are,
don't think so.
there's a lot of high school kids that do park up near Granby and Scott Street. So again, we're going to try and work on and replace the Woodland Bridge during when the high school's not in session. But again, it's really going to depend upon how quickly we can have these bridges fabricated.
Yeah. Well, it needs to be done. We just have to be sure that we make it all as safe as possible, and I have confidence that you will.
Thank you.
Alderman Weber?
It came to mind, there's no way for a path to be created at the dead end of Heather, is there, to get onto the bike path? I just creatively thinking, what's a closer route where they could go up Illinois and just cut onto Heather and then just, jump onto the path that way. I don't know how the Heather residents, but it certainly would be a lot safer than them going all the way down Western Avenue to Ryan Place. So just food for thought.
That's a great idea. We'll take a look at it and see if that is possible. It's a good idea.
There may be a cut through there already.
There is to get to the bike path, yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? Okay, thanks, Mike. Next item.
Thank you.
I'm getting set up. If you guys have the slides, can you please put the slides up? Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. 1 second, there we go. Now I can see it. I wanted to provide an update on the Baroque storm sewer project. So this project dates back to 2019. You've probably seen it several times with different memos and presentations. So I want to do an update on that, as well as a status of the intergovernmental agreement. So the city was selected for a grant in 2020 from the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission with federal funding through the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. The total grant is for $2,750,000, for which all municipalities will pay a payment expense match. In our case, it's $314,000 or just over that. In terms of the grant status, draft agreements have been reviewed, allowing SMC to submit the overall package to DCEO. So what we're looking at right now is we're still waiting on the agreements to come back from the state's attorney's office, which is the attorney for SMC. So once we get that, our attorney will complete the final review, at which time the city manager will execute the IGA upon that final review and approval by the city attorney. Next slide, please. There we go. So in terms of the schedule going forward, we already presented this at the Public Works Committee, so now we're here just to give a status update. So SMC is looking to get a final agreement from DCEO sometime in mid-February. We're hoping that's a little bit earlier, but as of now, we're showing it as mid-February just to be safe. So once that occurs, we will then be coming back to you to present 2 agreements, hopefully in late February or early March, if not a little bit earlier. And those 2 agreements will be an award of construction, as well as a construction oversight agreement for assistance during construction. Once that is approved, we are looking to start construction sometime in mid to late March, with construction lasting about 5 months. So 5 months, it's a pretty big project. And with it being a big project, it is important to start public outreach and communication efforts pretty early. So we are also looking to begin those efforts about 4 to 6 weeks prior to the City Council's award of bid. So at this time in your Omnibus package, you will see an item for the authorization for the city manager to basically you to approve the draft agreement as it stands right now, knowing that once we get the final comments back from SMC and DCEO, that the attorney will be able to review it again and give any further revisions that are needed, at which time the city manager will execute the agreement. With that being said, I can take any questions.
Questions from the council? Alderman Gashgarian.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Byron. I appreciate your update. I just have a question. If we can look at this historically, do we have any references? So the state's attorney's office is reviewing it for SMC, and then it's going to go to DCEO for final review, and then comes back to us. Has there been any precedent one way or the other where this late in the game, DCEO can throw a modification at us? I'm just kind of curious in terms of timeline. Again, knowing that it's a 5-month project, and I realize there's process here, and we always want to adhere to the process. Sometimes it looks like paralysis through analysis, but do we know, is this something that's just very standard in terms of these types of grants, or is this very specific because this has come through ARPA money and it's kind of uncharted waters? I'm just curious.
Yes. So in terms of DCEO, what they're working on is more their agreement with SMC. So just like we have an IGA with SMC, SMC also has an IGA with DCEO. So we're completely separate of that process. They have seen some of the draft IGAs, and in general, they don't have any issues. What the process that was going on the last few weeks was the state's attorney, which we're being told is the attorney for SMC, has been reviewing it, and we're still waiting on some comments from that. So that's really one part. And then the other part, now that the IGAs have been turned in, basically they got all 14 IGAs, because there's 14 municipalities participating in this. They got all of those draft agreements together, and SMC turned that in together to DCEO, and DCEO now can start their agreement with SMC. But in terms of our agreement, we are still waiting on any other comments from the state's attorney's office, but I don't believe we have received any in the last few weeks. But like I said, at this point, it's a draft agreement. You know, we'd like to think it's about 90 to 95% complete, but our city attorney will have a chance to look at it before it's executed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Okay, well, thank you. Good luck. I hope all these things happen on schedule.
Thank you.
I know it's a new process for SMC and it's a new process for DCEO. They haven't had to do these kinds of things before, these large grant administration tasks. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few surprises along the way, but hopefully it'll go as smoothly as possible.
Open so.
You know what's amazing about this is the job our staff did in applying for this grant. I think it was mentioned in our write-up that we were like the top municipality when they were looking at applications for this grant. It was because of how thorough our staff was in submitting the grant application, and it's a significant amount of money. So congratulations to the staff and to the city for getting this award. It was because of a lot of good hard work that was put in by the staff, so thank you.
I'd be remiss if I didn't offer kudos to the former Lake County board member, Mike Rummel, who was pretty instrumental in helping and assist us as well. In addition to State Representative Bob Morgan and State Senator Julie Morrison, but there was a lot of help along the way.
Yeah, Bob, I've got Bob on speed dial now, so. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you very much, Byron. I think there's one more briefing here.
Yep.
Dan?
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of City Council. Tonight I will be giving a brief overview of the Water Distribution Monitoring Project and how technology will be used to overcome the existing challenges with the city's current water distribution system. If you could recall, back in August of 2019, the city experienced multiple main breaks across the system in a 48-hour period of time. The issue started with a large main break that could not be found right away, and once it was located, it actually led to more main breaks when the valves were shut off to isolate the main break. The event was very disruptive to the community, to say the very least. The lessons learned from that event showed us how inadequate the current monitoring system is and the need to have more locations. By installing more locations across the system would allow the water plant operators a more complete understanding of what is happening in the system when there is a pressure surge or a change in water flow that can cause leaks or main breaks. The city's water distribution system has 5 pressure monitor sensors. These are shown as green dots on the map to the right here on the slide. They include the water plant, the East Depot, Wesley Booster Pump Station, the Southwest Lift Station, and the Water Tower. These locations only monitor pressure. The project before you this evening adds 8 new pressure and flow monitor locations shown as pink boxes on the map. The locations were established using past water trends, data trends, reviewing past water main break data, talking with city staff members, reviewing past distribution studies, as well as the design engineer's past experience doing similar work in other surrounding communities. In addition to pressure sensors at each of these locations, will also include flow meters that will show the direction of the water flow and how fast or slow the water is moving. This became an outcome after all the investigation and all the engineering that part of it went in with part of the design, that flow meters were really a necessary feature and an additional technology that should be added. The combination of adding more locations across the system with both pressure and flow monitoring will allow main breaks and other disturbances to be identified more quickly. Project also includes incorporating flow monitor at the elevated tank, or the water tower as we call it, to support the existing pressure sensor that was there. And once we can get all these up and running, it will establish data trends for future modeling to support upcoming water main replacement decision process, as part of the decision process. An additional flow meter and pressure sensor will be installed at the new Deer Path and 41 station once the city takes ownership of that building. That will bring the monitoring up to 9 locations, or 9 sites, if you will. Having these 9 sites will give an opportunity for the operators and staff to analyze the additional data they will be providing. And then from there, we can determine if additional sites are needed, and equally important, where in the system there should be added, if we were to add more or enhance some of the existing pressure monitoring systems by adding flow meters, if you will. Next slide, please. So this is part of the FY22 CIP budget for $360,000. On November 16th, 2 bids were received. Integrated Process Solutions was the lowest responsive bidder for $337,000. In addition, staff is requesting to use the remaining budget of $23,000 for the design engineer Strand Associates to provide technical engineering assistance, and the remaining $8,000 to be used for project contingency. The proposed project would commence on or about December 20th and be completed by the end of July of 2022. I believe in my write-up I made an error and said 2021, but no, we'll shoot for this July instead. So before you tonight, the action requested would be awarded bid to IPS for the 2021 distribution system monitoring project, as well as Strand Associates for technical engineering assistance, and then the remainder of $8,000 for an overall contingency. That concludes my report, and I can take any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan on this project? Alderman Bushman.
Yes, Superintendent Martin, I'm very happy that there are lessons learned from the failure that occurred a year and a half or so ago. I know you've been working on improving the valve system, but the regulated system too, to control the distribution and the pressures. I think that's going to provide a great benefit to our distribution system, recognizing the investment we've made in the quality water treatment plant. The water treatment plant is only as good as the distribution system and its maintenance, and to avoid the sort of problems that was experienced in the past. So I think you're doing a great job realizing lessons learned and improving the system to the quality standards that will make it work to the benefit of the city.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Okay, well, that concludes the update. We'll actually get to vote on these through the Omnibus, which is coming next. So thank you very much, Dan and Mike and Byron. Nice presentations, brief and to the point. And so we can move on now to the items for Omnibus vote consideration. Don't cringe, there are 18 of them tonight. So I now have a long reading assignment. Some of these are finalizing old matters like the tax levy. Others are on subjects like we just discussed. And some of them are being accelerated because of the difficulty of acquiring supplies and getting labor in place to complete projects. And we don't have a meeting for the next meeting is January 18th. So we have almost 7 weeks between now and our next meeting. So I apologize for the length of this list, but I'll try to get through it. And at the end, if there's any remaining conversation, we can talk then. The first item is approval of the November 15th, 2021 City Council meeting minutes. Second is approval of the July 27th, 2021 Special City Council Workshop minutes. Third is approval of the August 23rd, 2021 Special City Council meeting minutes. Fourth is approval of the check register for the period of October 23rd to November 26th, 2021. Fifth is approval of ordinances abating 2021 tax levies for various general obligation alternate revenue bond issues. This is a final reading. Sixth is granting final approval of an ordinance approving a fee schedule and an ordinance adopting new fees related to development activity. Seventh is consideration of a request to waive the fidelity bond requirement in connection with Lake Forest College holding a raffle in the city of Lake Forest. This is approval by motion. Number 8, approval to extend the city's grant services agreement with the Ferguson Group for grant research writing services for 2022. 9th is approval of health insurance contract renewals for calendar year 2022. 10th is an award of the lowest responsive and responsible bid for both the Illinois and Woodland pedestrian bridge replacements to FH Passion in the amount of $1,075,613, with a 10% construction contingency in the amount of $107,561, for a total of $1,183,174. 11th is consideration of a staff recommendation to award the contract for GIS services to MGP Inc. in the not to exceed amount of $214,246 for calendar year 2022. 12 is approval of a change order to the agreement with Civil Tech Engineering Inc. to provide water main design for the Everett and Waukegan Road intersection project in the amount of $22,175. 13th is authorization for the city manager, based on city attorney review, to execute an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Lake Forest and the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission, SMC hereafter, for the Baroque Storm Sewer Project, and approval of an SMC project expense match in the amount of $314,036, contingent upon receipt of grant funding. 14th is an award of a bid to Integrated Process Solutions, Inc. for the 2021 Distribution System Monitoring Project in the amount of $337,000, $15,000 to Strand Associates for technical engineering assistance, and $8,000 for an overall contingency. 15th is consideration of the waiver of permit fees for improvements at the city's Veterans Park located on the southeast corner of Deer Path and Green Bay Road. Approval by motion. 16th is consideration of ordinances approving recommendations from the Building Review Board, first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. 17th is consideration of an ordinance approving a recommendation from the Historic Preservation Commission, again, first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. And 18th is consideration of an ordinance approving a recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals, again, first reading, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. Are there any items here that any member of the council would like removed or taken separately? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the 18 omnibus items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Alderman Morris.
Aye.
Alderman Karas.
Aye.
Alderman Rummel.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack.
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian.
Aye.
Alderman Bushman.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
8 yeas, 0 nay, motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is new business. Consideration of a recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals in support of amendments to the special use permit for Ragdale located at 1230, 1260, and 1272 North Green Bay Road. This is first reading of an ordinance, and if desired by the City Council, final approval. And also consideration of a second amendment to the operating agreement for the Ragdale properties, approval by ordinance. Kathy Cerniak will give us the update on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. You should be able to see my screen. This item comes to you as a follow-up to an action the council took in October to approve a purchase and donation agreement for 2 acres of property, just over 2 acres of property, the Hart Lansing property, located just to the north of the city-owned Ragdale property. The area to the north here, again, just over 2 acres, is currently owned by the Hart Lansing family. This is a portion of the ownership of the Hart Lansing family. The city-owned Ragdale parcel, just over 4 acres, is located just to the south. This opportunity, as you discussed in October, really is a unique opportunity to reassemble a portion of the property that Howard Van Doren Shaw originally bought. He bought a total of 55 acres in the 1800s. And it served as the family home, and even as early as Mr. Shaw's ownership, the property also served as an artist's retreat. The 2 actions before you tonight, the first one comes to you with unanimous recommendation from the Zoning Board of Appeals to align the operation of the Ragdale property, to align the special use permit and the operating agreement with this expanded site, which is anticipated to close before the end of the year. An amendment to the special use permit is required, and that comes under the purview of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and also amendments, minor modifications to the operating agreement for the Ragdale properties. So first, the special use permit amendments. The amendments are really fairly minor. Importantly, there is no change of use of the site proposed and no change in the intensity of the use of the site proposed. What the amendments do, first, the amendments incorporate the portion of the Hart Lansing property that will be acquired by the city. And the special use permit amendments also adopt an updated master plan and a use area plan. The use area plan identifies the Hart residence and the McCutcheon studio as structures that will be used by artists that stay at Ragdale, The use area plan identifies 2 additional small performance areas, identifies some parking areas that will be modified and slightly expanded, and proposes some minor modifications to the conditions of approval. You do in your packet have a black line of the conditions of the current conditions of approval, and those are on pages 172 through 176 in your packet. As I noted, the changes proposed to the special use permit are relatively minor. There is no increase requested in the number of artists that can reside on the site at any one time. And the requirement that for the limited number of events, ticketed events, the current requirement that off-site parking be required will remain. That parking normally is accommodated in the parking lots to the north of City Hall, and Ragdale provides shuttle buses to the site. There's no change to that current condition. This use area plan is included in your packet. And again, on the north end of the site, the area that will be added to the Ragdale properties, the Ragdale home identified here, or I'm sorry, the Hart residence identified as number 4, and the McCutcheon studio identified as number 5, will be used by artists. They really provide the opportunity to provide better accommodations for artists and to provide artists accommodations that are accessible to those with limited mobility. Both on the east side of the Hart residence and on the west side of the Hart residence, additional small outdoor event areas are identified. And interestingly, the area just to the east of the Hart residence, there are remnants of the original Ragdale ring that was created by Howard Van Doren Shaw. Both small areas, the events that will occur in those areas will, out of necessity, be limited in size simply because the venues are small. The existing outdoor areas where events take place are to the west of the current Ragdale house, and occasionally events take place on the front lawn. They're included in this proposal, there is a slight expansion to the existing parking lot that's located in the southeast corner of the site, and then some reconfiguration of an existing gravel parking area that is currently located on the Hart property. There is a log cabin on the site, and I know there have been some questions about that. The Hart family will be retaining the log cabin and a portion of the garden. They also own some property to the west of the house. So again, only a portion of the Hart Ragdale or the Hart Lansing property is being donated and sold to the city. The property transfer, as you discussed at your October meeting, is made possible through, in part, a donation by the Hart Lansing family and through a generous donor, benefactor to the Ragdale Foundation. The other piece of this agenda item that's before you tonight are some minor amendments to the operating agreement, the second amendment to this operating agreement. You were provided with the earlier documents. Ragdale does have a long history of operating as an artist's retreat, going back to the mid-1970s when Alice Hayes first approached the city for a special use permit. The changes to the operating agreement redefine the covered properties, again, reflect the expanded property, resets the term of the agreement back to the original 99-year lease, 99-year term, and acknowledges certain conditions of the property transfer. The Hart Lansing family will retain an access easement to the cabin parcel from Green Bay Road across what today is the Hart Lansing property. The operating agreement acknowledges that in August, an underground tank with residential heating oil was removed from the site. A city inspector was on site along with the contractor, as normally occurs when a residential tank is removed. There was an inspection. There was no indication of leakage. However, as a extra precaution, the city has engaged an environmental consultant to do some soil borings in the immediate vicinity of the underground tank. This is not a requirement of residential tank removals, but we did want to take that extra step. And finally, the operating agreement acknowledges that the current tenants in the Hart Lansing house will need to vacate before the closing occurs on the property. And that vacation is anticipated before, I believe, December 29th of this year. Community benefits of this reassemblage of the property is that it really does provide certainty that more of this site, both the historic buildings and the significant natural resources, will be preserved in perpetuity. It provides Ragdale the opportunity to offer upgraded facilities and accessible facilities to the artists and residents. This all is occurring at no cost to the city. And this really takes advantage of an incredible opportunity and achieves a dream that many have discussed for decades. And again, it's made possible through the generosity of the Hart Lansing family, as well as a generous donor to the Ragdale Foundation. If the council chooses to do so, it would be appropriate to take two actions. The first, waive first reading and grant final approval of an ordinance that's on page 177 of your packet, amending the special use permit for Ragdale. And second, approve by motion the second amendment to the operating agreement for the Ragdale properties. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Kathy? Okay, well, this is yet another example of the extraordinary philanthropy that the city benefits from, and I just want to personally thank the Hart Lansing family, continuing their generosity to the city, and we don't know the donor. The Ragdale donor is anonymous, but certainly all the donors to the foundation over the years, many of us included, I'm sure, all have a part in this, and it's a wonderful opportunity for the city. I would request a motion to waive first reading and grant final approval of an ordinance amending the special use permit for Ragdale.
I'll make that motion. This
Okay.
was part of my old stomping ground as a kid. I remember this before Ragdale was there and before open lands, and it's just very exciting to see this come back into a single parcel. It's I'm just thrilled with this, and thank you. I want to acknowledge and add on to what the mayor said, the donors and the people who made this happen. It's just terrific. Thank you so much.
We have a second. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Morris.
Aye.
Alderman Karas.
Aye.
Alderman Rummel.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack.
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian.
Aye.
Alderman Bushman.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. And again, a motion approving the second amendment to the operating agreement for the Ragdale properties.
So moved.
Second again. Roll call, please.
Alderman Morris.
Aye.
Alderman Karas.
Aye.
Alderman Rummel.
Aye.
Alderman Notes.
Aye.
Alderman Preschlack.
Aye.
Alderman Gushgarian.
Aye.
Alderman Bushman.
Aye.
Alderman Weber.
Aye.
8 yea, 0 nay. Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is additional items from members of the City Council. Anything that anybody on the council would like to bring to the attention of the rest of the council? Alderman Karas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a question for Kathy regarding the Joytime property on Maywood, and I'm just wondering, along with a number of neighbors here, what what the current time frame is for removing the building. I know that there's remediation that needs to happen, but also the discussion of what possibilities might be for that property when the building comes down.
Sure, I can respond to that. We have had an environmental assessment done on the property. Unfortunately, found more asbestos and lead paint than we anticipated. We do currently have a contract for that abatement. They were waiting for the cold weather, for fewer people to be around in the park. So I don't have an exact time frame, but I anticipate over the next 3 months that work will be completed, and then the building can certainly be raised and the site cleaned up. At this point, I don't believe there's been discussion about exactly how the site will be used, but certainly the first step will be clearing the site and really returning it to green space.
Thank you, Kathy.
Any other comments or briefings from the council? Okay, the next regular city council meeting will be Tuesday, January 18th. So everybody enjoy the holiday season. We'll all be pulling for Eileen's continued prosperity through the and great Instagram postings so that we can see all the great work she's doing. But really, everybody have a wonderful holiday season. We talked earlier today about a number of activities that are occurring between now and the end of the year. So take advantage of the pop-up shop, the market, all the events going on around town. So happy holidays to everybody, and Happy New Year. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. Holidays.